we should also think on the livelihood and the societal importance we are getting from the fisheries and aquaculture sector. So, as you know well, the fisheries and aquaculture sector is a major source of employment, and it is estimated that 59.5 million people were engaged in the primary sector of fisheries and aquaculture, according to FAO. In total, there are about 20.5 million people were employed in aquaculture and 39 million in fisheries, a slight increase from 2016. The employment opportunities and the peoples, those who are involving in fisheries and aquaculture based activities are keep on increasing slightly from 2016 to till today. So it indicate there is a demand for fish and fish related commodity. Okay. However, unfortunately, the percentage of fish stocks in recent times, the percentage of fish stocks are not sustainable level, not in the sustainable level. It is decreased from 90% in 1974 to it comes down to 65.8% in 2017. So one side the demand is increasing, whereas the other side the production is decreasing. Okay, so it indicate we should develop some sustainable practices for fish production. Okay, so now per capita fish consumption is also increasing globally. Okay, so that the demand is increased, whereas the fish stock is decreasing. So this is a serious alarm. Okay, there is a serious alarm to the aquaculturist and fisheries scientists in particular, and in public in general. Okay, so for example, 88% of the 179 million tons of total fish production was utilized for direct human consumption. Okay, and 12% was used for non-food purpose. Okay, and in 2018, in the year 2018, live, fresh, and chilled fish still represented the largest share of the fish utilized for direct human consumption. So this data is provided by FAO. It is clearly indicate that the demand for fish and fish-based food commodity is increasing, whereas the production is concerned, it is keep on decreasing. Okay, and if you talk about the nutritious or nutritional value is concerned, okay, there is no doubt that fish is a highly nutritious food, or otherwise called fish is a complete diet or complete food or balanced food. Okay, because why? Because it supply it provide the fish food provide all essential nutrition, starting from the protein to the omega-3 fatty acid, minerals, pigments, all nutritions of the human being required is available in the fish. So that fish is popularly termed as complete diet or balanced diet. Even the milk is not at all is a balanced diet, because milk is having deficient in some minerals, called especially selenium, and even some other minerals are very poor, are not almost it's not absent in fish. I mean the milk dairy product, whereas in the fish all nutrients are available, so that it is complete diet. Okay, but unfortunately now the due to various reasons, as we discussed today morning, due to over exploitation of fishery resources and pollution and climate change or global warming, now fish production, the fish stock in the wild, in the sea, in the aquatic environment is decreasing. Okay, so here you can see the fish provided about 3.3 billion people with almost 20% of their average per capita intake of animal protein. Okay, 20% of the animal protein is coming from the fish, from fish commodity. Whereas in 2017, fish accounted for about 17% of total animal protein and 7% of all proteins consumed globally. So this is the the data, statistical data is given by the FAO, which is a international organization. Okay, so as you know well, the fish is known for key nutrition such as long chain omega-3 fatty acids are rich in fish. Fish is a only source for omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, fish is a only source for omega-3 fatty acids, and it is rich in iodine, very particularly iodine, and even selenium, the compound called selenium, so that if you take fish twice or thrice in your diet in a week, you can get a lot of health benefits out of eating fish. And fish is supplying vitamin D, iron content is there, especially the pregnant woman and women, those who are facing anemia problem. Okay, so they should take more fish. And calcium, zinc, and other minerals are available in the fish. So that the fish is popularly known as a complete diet or balanced diet. So here I have given one slide. What are the benefits we are getting out of eating fish? Okay, you can see according to various reports, scientific report, if you take fish in your daily diet or twice or thrice a week, you don't get any heart related diseases. And the fish diet, it reduces the hypertension and obesity. Okay, it reduces the risk of prostate cancer, and it helps to avoid depression, and it reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes will be reduced if we take more fish in our daily diet. And it prevents Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is one of the memory loss disease which is caused due to the deficiency of selenium, the minerals called selenium. The selenium is very rich in fish, especially the shellfish called what is called the squid and cuttlefish is having more selenium. So that if you take more fish, you are not getting any Alzheimer's disease. And since fish contains more minerals, vitamin minerals like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and selenium, zinc, if you take more fish, you don't get any bone related diseases, arthritis. Okay, and it prevents the asthma and the shining hair, for especially for girls. If you take more fish, since fish provide you omega-3 fatty acids, the hair will be more shiny and hair black, so that there is no need of any hair dye. Okay, and since the fish contain more omega-3 fatty acids along with vitamins, if you take more fish, it will enhances the skin. You don't get any wrinkle in the skin. So and very recently there is one report published by international authors in the international journal. If especially the pregnant woman, if pregnant woman take more fish during delivery time, that particular mucus which help for easy delivery will secrete lot if you take more fish. So that the doctors, the medical practitioner, they are suggesting. Of course, the medical practitioner, they will suggest us to go for only a cesarean. But if you take more fish, you don't get any pain and all during time of delivery. And it is very well known that since fish contain more vitamins, especially vitamin D, if you take more fish, it will improve the vision, and it improves the memory. Because if you take more fish, that fish supplying more omega-3 fatty acid, the omega-3 fatty acid develop the nervous system, and brain system will be developed, so that it improves the memory. So these all benefits we are getting out of eating fish. But unfortunately, the statistical data telling that the fish production is declining in the wild, in the sea, and in aquatic ecosystem. So ultimately, the alternate source is aquaculture. But unfortunately, as we discussed in the morning session, due to various reasons, for example, some various disease outbreak, the aquaculture is also facing problem. So with that, actually, instead of treating diseases, okay, if we produce high quality larvae or high health larvae which has more immune system, we can able to grow our fish or shrimp without any disease outbreaks, which will support for more benefit to the both the farmers and also consumers. So here, when I refer the FAO report, even there is a statement you can see here. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected most countries in the world with severe impacts on the global economy. The following projections are based on the assumption that there will be a significant disruption in the short run for production, consumption, and trade, with a recovery in late 2020 or early 2021. Due to COVID-19, there will be a huge economic loss for all the countries throughout the world. It will pave a way for the short or lack in production, consumption, even consumption, and trade, so that the world fish production, consumption, and trade are expected to increase in future due to this COVID-19, but with a growth rate that will slow over time. So it is expected more fish production and consumption, but unfortunately the fish production is decreasing. Okay, so the total fish production is expected to expand from 179 million tons in 2018 to 204 million tons in 2030. It is expected to increase. I mean, the demand for fish production is expected to be 204 million tons in 2030, where we get the fish. So one way the fish production is decreasing in the wild, and on the other way the fish population, consumer demand is increasing. So the only source for the supply of fish and other fish related food commodity is aquaculture. But unfortunately, aquaculture is also not in the level of supporting our demand. So that what I wish to emphasize here, that instead of treating disease, there are a lot of diseases are reported nowadays in aquaculture, but to cure the diseases, a lot of medicines have been used. But that instead of using medicines or chemicals to treat the disease, if we produce high quality seed, we can able to eradicate the diseases, eliminates most of the diseases in the culture system, farming system. Okay, so that is, prevention is better than cure. So instead of curing, we can prevent the diseases, so that by improving the immunity of the cultivable organism. So with that, how to improve? Is there any technology being developed? What is driving in the increase? How to increase the fish production? Okay, so fish production should be increased through various ways. Okay, increase in production, technological developments, rising incomes worldwide, reduction in loss and waste. We are just simply wasting a lot of non-edible fishes, just simply throwing in non-edible fishes, which can be used as a raw material for the feed, for example, poultry feed or fish feed manufacturing. Okay, but who knows, maybe in future the edible fishes may not be there, so that we can shift to the eating the non-edible fish by adopting some techniques. So with these improvements, we can increase the aquaculture production. So among these various driving, I will take these technological developments. So definitely the technological developments will improve or will enhance our aquaculture production, so that we can able to supply the fish to the consumers. So okay, now I coming to the subject. Okay, as we discussed today's morning session, there is no doubt that copepod is a good starter feed. I mean, to produce the larvae seed, fish or shrimp seed. I would for another half an hour, 45 minutes, I would like to give how the copepod is improving the growth, larval growth and survival. Okay. See, actually, we have our team, we have successfully cultured the copepod. Now we are maintaining the stock culture, and also we are culturing the mass culture copepod in mass level using RAS. After culturing the copepod, I have to convince the farmers. It is my duty to convince the farmers. Then I have to justify whether really the copepod is supporting the growth or survival of the larvae, or just simply for getting projects or waiting for publishing papers I am speaking. No, to prove my copepod is positively supporting the larval growth and survival. So our team, we did a series of experiment. We did with some fish and shrimp species. So this photograph is an evidence for the laurel rearing experiment with the different feed, with copepod and other traditional live feeds. Okay, so this is the evidence here I have given. So you can see in this slide picture, actually we validated. Okay, we have evaluated the suitability or efficiency of copepod on the growth and survival of commercial importance fish, that is Seabass lattice calcarifer. Okay, so we obtained the Seabass larvae from SIBA and also Rajiv Gandhi Center for Aquaculture. We have designed different experiment. We stocked the Seabass larvae in a different tank. Okay, and we have used 3 different feed: rotifer, artemia, and copepod. So 21 days experiment, 45 days experiment, and 90 days experiment. Okay, so we have validator. After harvest, we have estimated the length, weight, survival, and also the nutritional profile of the animal, fish or shrimp, cultivated using the different live feeds like rotifer, artemia, and copepod. So here you can see, as you know well, the sea bass is highly carnivorous fish. It has cannibalistic behavior. Even with highly cannibalistic behavior, the sea bass larvae which fed on copepod, marine copepod, it shows 93% survival. Whereas the larvae, the sea bass larvae which fed on artemia, which result only 82%, whereas the larvae which fed on rotifer only shows 77%. Similarly, the length and weight, you can see here, the length of the copepod fed larvae is 44.33 mm, whereas the artemia and rotifer fed larvae resulted only 26 and 25 mm respectively. Whereas the growth in terms of weight, you can see here, the copepod fed larvae shows 338 milligram within 21 days. This experiment duration is 21 days. And whereas the artemia fed larvae, which result only 170, whereas rotifer fed larvae resulted only 132 milligram. So this is this particular slide clearly indicate that, okay, copepod, without doubt, copepod is improving the growth of the larvae, sea bass larvae. And we have also analyzed the nutritional characteristics, I mean, biochemical profile of the animal larvae, sea bass larvae, fed on different live feed organisms. So the protein, carbohydrate, lipid, all nutritional profile are rich in larvae which fed on copepod when compared to artemia and rotifer. Okay, and you can see here we have analyzed the amino acid profile of the larvae, Seabass lattice calcarifer larvae, fed on different live feed organisms. So copepod based diet, I mean the larvae which fed on copepod showing a high nutritional profile, especially essential amino acids is very rich in copepod fed larvae when compared to artemia and rotifer fed larvae. Then we have also estimated the fatty acid composition of the larvae fed on different live feeds. So copepod fed larvae always resulting the high nutritional profile. Very particularly, you can see here 24 and 6, this is arachidonic acid. You can see the arachidonic acid is rich in larvae which fed on copepod, 3.87%. Similarly, EPA content, omega-3 fatty acid content, okay, 7.2% EPA in copepod fed larvae, whereas artemia fed larvae 5.2, rotifer fed one 4.89. And you can see the DHA content of the larvae which fed on copepod is showing 10.23%, whereas the artemia and rotifer fed one, see here, artemia fed one 1.76% alone, whereas the rotifer fed one is 0. Not even 1%. So it clearly indicates that if you grow your fish larvae or shrimp larvae with copepod, by using copepod as a feed, it improves the growth, it enhances the survival, it also improves the nutritional content of your tissue of this fish larvae, so that the consumers they can able to obtain more nutrition for their well-being. Okay, see, this is the photographic evidence. The larvae which fed on rotifer, see the size of the animal, whereas the artemia and aptly fed one. And here you can see the copepod fed larvae, it shows almost miniature of fish. So the eyes are developed, fins are developed, and even the coloration pigments is also improved like anything on rotifer larvae, rotifer feed. Okay, we have also validated our copepod feed whether the copepod improve the pigments in ornamental fishes. Okay, so one of my student, he did his PhD on this topic. He worked on the live feed suitability, how far the copepod is improving growth, survival, and pigments, especially the pigments. Because if you talk about the ornamental fish, the ornamental fish, the pigments is very important characters. Okay, so he's to test that, he worked on this particular Monodactylus argentus. Monodactylus argentus is a brackish water ornamental fish. We obtained the fish larvae from CIBA, Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture, and he validated the suitability of copepod with this ornamental fish with reference to growth, survival, and ornament, pigment improvement. Okay, see here you can see, before that you can see here the copepod fed animal, that M. argentus, macro Monodactylus argentus, showing more growth, higher growth, high survival, I mean length and weight. Okay, and you can here you can see the pigment improvement in the animal, the fish. See, this is this is Artemia fed fish, and this is a copepod Nitocora affinis. There is a copepod Nitocora affinis fed one, and this is initial size of the larvae. Okay, during the stocking size, I mean stocking size of the animal. You can see here the pigment improvement or pigment development in fins, dorsal fin, caudal fin is when compared to Artemia fed one, the copepod fed animal, they have developed more pigmentation than the Artemia fed one. Here the evidence is there. You can see here in the dorsal fin and caudal fin, the pigment development, coloration improvement is comparatively higher than Artemia fed one. Okay, so this indicate copepod is a ideal feed for ornamental fish also. Okay, along with edible fish. And one of my student, he did his PhD on the using marine copepod, Pseudodiatomamus annandale. He worked on, he validated how far the copepod is improving the growth, survival, and nutritional profile of the silver pompano. So silver pompano is a marine fish. Okay, so actually CMFRA, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, Mandapam Regional Center, they developed the technology for the breeding and the larval production of pompano, silver pompano. So we have validated just obtaining the larvae from CMFRA. He worked on comparing the growth, survival, and nutritional profile improvement in pompano, silver pompano larvae with reference to rotifer and copepod. Okay, and he designed a different set of experiment. Okay, he has given a copepod alone, copepod napoli alone as a feed to the fish larvae, and copepod 50% and rotifer 50%. And he used a different concentration of feed, live feed. So 5 per ml, 5 individual per ml, 10 numbers per ml, 20 numbers per ml copepod, and copepod plus rotifer 50%. So here you can see the 47th day, during 7th day, when we observe the animal, you can see this is the size of the larvae which fed on copepod alone. 20 numbers per ml of copepod concentration gives good result when compared to copepod plus napoli, I mean rotifer. Okay, see here the eye development. Okay, and pigments are developed. Okay, here you can see this in 14th day, during 14th day, the copepod napoli fed animal fish, the silver pompano, they all eyes are developed, well developed, fins, all the fins, okay, are well developed. It look like a miniature of fish. Whereas the copepod plus, I mean, copepod means 50% copepod and 50% rotifer. Whereas 100% copepod larvae shows very good length, weight, and nutritional profile. Okay, see here, this is the result. So the length of the this one is an shrimp, Penaeus monodon, tiger shrimp Penaeus monodon. We also validated the efficiency of our copepod with shrimp Penaeus monodon. You can see the length, weight, and survival of the Penaeus monodon which fed on copepod is always higher than rotifer and artemia fed one. So length is 35.1 mm, whereas artemia fed one is 28.9. Rotifer fed one is 24.3. Similarly, the weight is also increased when compared to artemia. See the 36 milligram in copepod, whereas in artemia 21.3. In rotifer 18.8. The survival is not that there is no much variation among the between the rotifer, artemia, and copepod, but it is the length and weight. Growth is improved when compared to traditional live feeds. Okay, you can see here the evidence. This is the shrimp Penaeus monodon, which grown using the rotifer, and this is the animal which growing, okay, which cultured using the artemia and naphthalene as a feed. And this one is the bottom photograph shows that the animal Penaeus monodon, which grown on the copepod, especially Aithona rigida. You can see here the rostrum development, antenna development, and height development. Very importantly, the pigments in their carapace, in the exoskeleton, you can see in the body, the pigment is improved like anything with copepod, whereas with artemia, naphthalene, and rotifer is less than that. So when we analyze what is the pigment, this pigment is nothing but astaxanthin. And you can see the biochemical composition of the Penaeus monodon tiger shrimp larvae, which fed on different live feed. So the protein and lipid is always higher in copepod fed animal when compared to artemia and rotifer fed animal. And this is amino acid analysis. Okay, this is amino acid composition of the Penaeus monodon larvae fed on different live feed organism. So the copepod fed Penaeus monodon larvae resulting more essential amino acid when compared to traditional live feeds. And this table shows the fatty acid profile. Fatty acid composition of Penaeus monodon larvae fed on different live feed organism. Acid, highly unsaturated fatty acids are comparatively higher in copepod fed animal than artemia and rotifer fed one. Okay, and here you can see this graph clearly shows you that the astaxanthin, how the astaxanthin improved in copepod fed animal when compared to artemia. So this is the astaxanthin content level in the larvae stockings, initial larvae. The larvae before starting experiment, we have analyzed the astaxanthin level in the larvae. It was 1.77 microgram per gram. Okay, after experiment, 21 days experiment, when we analyze the astaxanthin content in the animal, in the Penaeus monodon larvae, the artemia fed animal shows only 3.5649 microgram per gram, whereas the copepod fed animal, it result 9.282. So several fold, even 3-fold, the pigment is improved in copepod with copepod when compared to artemia. So this result clearly inferred that, okay, so the copepod is an ideal feed in both for finfish and also crustacean. And we have also validated our copepod with Penaeus venami, Lithopenaeus venami, which is now in India no more monodon culture, Penaeus monodon culture, tiger shrimp culture, and venami culture is extensively going on in India. Okay, so we have also validated whether copepod is suitable for venami. Yes, it is very ideal feed for venami also. Okay, so you can see the 21 days experiment, larval living experiment with the different live feed organism. So the survival of the venami at copepod feeding, okay, 85%, whereas artemia and rotifer feeding 83 and 75% respectively. Okay, even this length weight is also appreciably improved in copepod experiment when compared to artemia and rotifer. You can see here the photographic evidence. Okay, so this is a 21st day harvested size of the venami, Penaeus venami, fed on rotifer. This one is the venami, Penaeus venami fed on artemia naphthalene, whereas this particular photograph, the animal which fed on copepod. Okay, so you can see here the antenna and rostrum, Okay, and high development, even the pigment improvement you can see here. The pigment improvement is well developed in copepod fed animal, whereas in rotifer and Artemia one is lesser than the copepod. And we have also analyzed the biochemical profile, nutrition profile of this Venami also. So the animal which fed on copepod showing the good nutritional profiles than the traditional live feeds fed one. And we have analyzed the azoxanthine content in PL, Venami PL post larvae with the different live feeds. And you can see here the rotifer fed one, which result 27.4%, the Artemia and Anopheles fed one 32.1%. Okay, I mean, sorry, not percentage, microgram per gram, whereas the copepod fed larvae results 41.6 microgram per gram. Okay, so and as I informed in morning session, I asked my student to just study the antimicrobial activity of both copepod, other live feeds, and the animal which fed on different live feed organism. Okay, so here I have given the result. Okay, the copepod, both copepod and copepod fed larvae animal, Penaeus venami, both are showing very good antimicrobial activity when compared to Artemia rotifer and Artemia and rotifer fed animal. So which clearly indicate that if you use copepod in your hatchery system to produce your larvae, so your larvae will grow faster with high survival and with high pigmentation and without any disease outbreak, since it improving the antimicrobial activity against the various pathogens. Okay, and this is actually one of my PDF. He did his PhD on a macrobrachium freshwater prawn. He also worked with compare the growth, survival, and nutritional profile of the macrobrachium freshwater macrobrachium rosenbergi, that prawn with a different live feed, zooplankton, I mean copepods and Artemia anopheles. So there in freshwater animal also showing a very good result. Okay, so he collected the copepod from wild condition, and he hatched out the Artemia anopheles. He compared the result with the growth profile and nutrition profile. So both growth and nutritional profile of the macrobrachium rosenbergi freshwater prawn, which fed on copepod, showing a tremendous growth and rich nutritional profile. So that it is clear that, see here you can see the different, the prawn macrobrachium rosenbergi fed on Artemia anopheles and fed on copepod. So the copepod fed animal showing a tremendous growth with high survival, with well-developed carapace and rostrum and so on, and even nutritional profile, especially the essential amino acids, fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acid, and pigments. All the nutritional parameters are comparatively higher in copepod fed one than the Artemia and rotifer fed one. So here the results I have given here: protein 69.02, okay, whereas the lipid 14.41. Copepod fed one shows all high nutritional profile when compared to Artemia one fed one. And this is the amino acid result. So essential amino acids you can see here. The copepod fed larvae shows 47% of the essential amino acids, whereas the Artemia and rotifer fed one around 40%. Okay, so as you know well, essential amino acids and highly unsaturated fatty acids are highly essential for human being also. So when we consume the shrimp or fish which fed on copepod, we can able to get more nutrition, so that our immune system will develop, so that we can escape from some diseases. Okay, so this is a highly unsaturated fatty acid content of the macrobrachium freshwater prawn, okay, which grown on copepods and what is that, Artemia anopheles. And here I would like to emphasize one important, a novel thing. You might be heard about bioflak. Okay, bioflak you know well. Okay, but now there is a terminology called copeplak. Okay, bioflak we know bioflak is nothing but using probiotic bacteria. We are growing the shrimp or fish, and probiotic bacteria will be a very good water quality manager. So in shrimp culture system or fish culture system, along with pellet feed, okay, you can also just inoculate, the farmers are inoculating probiotic bacteria, okay, which will manage or maintain the water quality, which will control the ammonia and other nitrogenous waste. And the pellet feed will be a feed to the animal to grow. Okay, and one farmer in Thailand, actually he cultured shrimp. Is culturing, not cultured. He is culturing shrimp along with probiotic with Copyport. Okay, I will show you that video, and even you can download from Google website. It is I downloaded from Google only. This is not my own production. Okay, so that farmer in Thailand, this particular concept not yet adopted so far in India. Not even a single scientist is tried. But of course, we have started working on this aspect. Okay, so this technique is called bioflak coflak. Bioflak coflak is nothing but bioflak is a probiotic bacteria which can maintain the water quality in the pond system, culture system. Along with probiotic bacteria, you can also use Copyport. The Copyport is a very good natural feed. So from morning onwards, we are discussing, okay, Copyport is nutritionally superior feed, and which has other advantages as a feed. So with this experience, that farmer, he started his culture, shrimp culture, especially the Venami, Pinus Venami culture, adopting this bioflak and Copyflak method. And he has given very good result when compared to traditional farming. Traditional farming means the pellet feed, using pellet feed. The natural feed based culture, that is Copyflak technology, the yield is very good without affecting the water quality, without affecting the environmental condition, environment. The farmers are able to yield more crop. Okay, so I would like to show that video. You can see here this video. This is bioflak coflak system. You can see start up with the Copyport and Ampiport. Ampiport here again is another important live feed. So before stocking the larvae, okay, so you should follow all other techniques for pond preparation, water culture and all. So before stocking the larvae, you have to stock initially the microalgae and Copyport. Along with the Copyport, you can also stock the Ampiport if you wish. If you wish, you can stock Ampiport, or otherwise you can do your shrimp culture Copyport alone, and you can also inoculate the probiotic bacteria in the pond system. Okay, and since the probiotic is maintaining the water quality, since the Copyport is a nutritionally superior live feed, here the Copyport is serve as a feed to shrimp to grow, and the probiotic bacteria will taking care of the water quality. Okay, along with Copyport, the Ampiport also is serving as a natural feed. And this is the real practical experience. I am not telling any lab experience. And a farmer is doing the shrimp culture, adopting this bioflak, Copyflak technology. This is a novel technology. None of the farmers are tried so far in India. It is in the lab scale, lab level only. We are the team working on this aspect now by using probiotic bacteria and Copyport. We are culturing this shrimp, working on this aspect. Okay, so you can see this full video. This is actually bottom diffuser. Since the Copyport, they need oxygen for their growth. So instead of giving, in addition to giving the paddle wheel aeration, okay, the diffuser bottom aeration should be provided to keep the Copyport biomass in the recommended level. So you can see the animal, how the animals are so healthy and so active. So you can see, you just note down the average body weight, and 120 counts of animal, the average body weight is 8.33 gram. Okay, he compared his result with the shrimp which is growing in pellet feed alone, shrimp growing in pellet feed 50% and the natural feed. The natural feed nothing but Copyport 50%, and Copyport alone, bioflak Copyflak alone. And he is telling that Okay, he is telling that the natural feed based culture is giving a good result. Good result means the immunity is increased in animal so that there won't be any disease outbreak is reported. You can see the DOC 67 days. Okay, and average body weight is 12.19 gram at 82 counts. And this is lined pond. Okay, this is lined pond where the water will be initially cultured. The microalgae will be cultured, followed with copepods. Along with the copepod, the amphipoda is also be cultured, and probiotics will be inoculated. So this system is working well. This is not paper-based or lab-based findings. This is a real field-based result. So that farmer is telling, if we use copepods in our pond culture, the shrimp is growing very fast, and they are very active, so active. Okay, so active. And another important finding he has given, if you grow the shrimp for 150 days for harvest your product, if you apply this technique, that is mean bioflak, copeflak technique, that animal will grow as in marketable size will appeared. The marketable size of the shrimps is appeared at 90 day and 90 day at 90 day. If you use the pellet feed, it will the culture will be extended up to 150 days. So the natural feed, I mean the copepod, you can see the animal which is growing under the bioflak, copeflak system. They are very active, and even we can go for high density production, high density stocking. Normal stocking 250 numbers per meter square animal we can stock and we can grow, because here we are not using any pellet feed. If you use pellet feed, the left out pellet feed will be another unwanted pollutant in the culture system. Okay, as we are using the natural feed, the water, whenever the animal requires, they can feed on natural feed. The remaining available copepod, I mean copepod natural feed will be a inoculum for the next culture, I mean next day, for next day. So this system is working well, and he is telling that the FCR is very less, and the average body weight is very high, and the harvest period, I mean the culture period is 1 month is comparatively reduced. So instead of growing the shrimp for 150 days, if you grow the shrimp for 90 days with the copepod, this technique, bioflak and copeflak, the animal will attain the marketable size at 90 day, so that we will save the remaining 60 days culture expensive. Cost of production will be saved. So this technique, it is clearly indicate that the copepod is supporting. Copepod is a very good feed, live feed for both finfish and shrimp, shellfish, which include both crustacean and mollusk. Even one of my student, he did his PhD work on using copepod culturing the mussel. So the copepod is an ideal feed for both finfish and shellfish. There's no doubt that it is proved by a farmer, not a scientist. Okay, and I would like to mention here that if you grow your fish or shrimp with the copepod, the character of the animal, your cultivable animal, I mean fish and shrimp, will be, there are some characters, biological or physiological characters are improved. You can see here, since the copepod contains more highly unsaturated fatty acid and astaxanthin compound, this cope your fish. So if you grow your fish or if you grow your shrimp with copepod, which supply more UPA, highly unsaturated fatty acid and astaxanthin content, the breeding and egg quality of your fish will be improved. The stress resistance and immunity to diseases, you just note down, underline this sentence, stress resistance and immunity to diseases will be improved. The embryonic development and growth of your fish will be improved. The gonadal maturation of fish is increased. A better feed conversion ratio is recorded. The fertilization hormones, this is very important. Fertilization hormone secretion can be increased in your fish or shrimp. As you know well, the hormones, fertilization hormone is a very important hormone for the reproduction and egg production of any animal. So if you feed your fish or shrimp larvae with copepod, since copepods contain more hormones, the fertilization capacity or efficiency of your animal larvae, fish or shrimp, will be increased, so that it will ultimately increase the production. And the mortality rate during embryonic development can be reduced. As you know well, the embryonic development, the embryonic period is more sensitive in crustacean, especially crustacean. So the animal larvae, they are in stress condition during embryonic stage. Whereas if you grow your fish or shrimp with copepod, that the mortality rate during embryonic development will be reduced. The reason is the EPA content and astaxanthin content. And other important characters, what the fish or shrimp is getting out of eating the copepod. Okay, if you grow your fish or shrimp larvae, if you produce your fish larvae or shrimp larvae with the copepod as a feed, your larvae can have some characters, some important characters. See, that larvae can able to grow in elevated water temperature. That larvae can able to grow or culture in elevated water temperature. As you know well, the temperature is one of the important water quality parameters, okay, to get more benefit, more yield. Okay, but the fish can able to grow even with elevated water temperature. For that, you have to produce your fish larvae with copepod. And it is your animal will able to grow in elevated ammonia level. As you know well, the ammonia is a toxic gas. If ammonia level is increased in aquaculture system, immediately all animals will die. But there is a report, if you produce your fish larvae and shrimp larvae, which can be cultured in outdoor system, in growth system, since copepods are supplying omega-3 fatty acid and astaxanthin, that immunity of the immune gene of your animal will be developed, so that they can able to withstand in elevated ammonia level, elevated water temperature, and it can able to live in harmful light, with the harmful light. For example, even if is there any UV light, the animal can survive with even ongoing UV light. The reason is the immunity, and it perform in limited oxygen condition. You can able to grow your animal, shrimp or fish, less oxygen, in less oxygen, or even sometimes without oxygen also. The reason again, the immunity of your animal, which is developed by copepod, the feed which you used, that will develop the immune system, so that animal can be able to survive in limited oxygen or sometimes without oxygen. Okay, and you can see here, especially in shrimp, the astaxanthin content available in copepod, okay, which will support the shrimp, especially shrimp, for short molting cycle. As you know well, molting is one of the important growth parameter. To grow the shrimp or any crustacean, they should undergo for molting. And you can see here that astaxanthin content in copepod improve the immunity of the animal, so that the animal can undergo the molting within a short period of time, so that the animal can attain the maximum harvestable size within a short period of time. And the vitamin A, it is regarded as a hormone. It is not produced by endocrine gland of shrimp. In shrimp, there is no vitamin A production, but this is very important vitamin. But this vitamin is supplied by copepod, because the copepod, the vitamin A is there. So, and vitamin A play a major role in spermatogenesis, oogenesis, and embryonic growth. So this all important nutrition is supplied by the copepod, so that your animal will get a lot of health benefits. Okay, so with this, it is clearly understood that the copepod is a very good feed, and it has all essential nutrition, and it has broad spectrum of size, and it has different movement pattern, swimming pattern. Okay, and it has antimicrobial activity. It is rich in pigments, especially astaxanthin, which is a very important antioxidant precursors. The azoxanthin compound is a known antioxidant activity. That's no antioxidant activity. So due to the nutritional profile and other their biological behaviors like movement pattern and different size. So it is very clear that copepods can be a good live feed. We can replace the Artemia or rotifer, which is nutritionally poor live feed, which are nutritionally poor live feed, so that we can replace the rotifer and Artemia, and we can produce our fish or shrimp larvae with the copepod. We can able to produce high health or high quality larvae, which which can be able to grow in growth system without any disease outbreak. So this is my actually my take home message. So with this, actually, I would like to now I conclude my lecture, this afternoon lecture. Okay, so we have a long coastline in India, more than 8,000 square kilometers of coastline we have in India, so that the aquaculture practices should be increased or enhanced. But you have to do the sustainable way of farming. Sustainable aquaculture practices should be done by producing the high quality seed. That seeds will be used in growth system. So with these advantages, we can grow our animal without any disease outbreaks. That is my conclusion. So if you have any clarification